Hey everybody, did you know you can go to colinmullen.com in order to get art and art prints, including this one? Maybe, I don't know. It could be on the website, go and check, colinmullen.com. So hey everybody, I don't know if this one's going to be up on the website or not, because I'm not sure how it's going to turn out. It's still drying behind me and I'm kind of just waiting for paint to dry. And rather than watching paint dry, I figured I'd go and record the lines for this episode. This is going to be a part of a project where I am making Hanafuda cards in sort of a Texas aesthetic, or at least having Texas-involved things. Maybe just Rev-involved things, Colin-involved things. So for this first one, I'm doing the bird from the February set. So there's 12 sets in a Hanafuda deck, and the set that is, as far as I can tell, associated with February is these, and I've switched out the flower to laurels, which are, if not native to Texas, abundant in Austin, and I've switched out the bird to a grackle because, I don't know, I love grackles. They're stupid. They're such a weird animal, but I love them. And I believe they're iconic to the area. So anyway, let's talk about Hanafuda, its origins, and why I may or may not be selling this print online, and why I even had to go through the trouble of making it Texanified, or Colinified, or whatever, aside from just, me wanting... Anyway, let's get into it. So, let's start with the history of playing cards, because playing cards are really interesting to actually know about the history of them and where they came from. So the earliest reference to playing cards that I know of, that I was able to find, is of Chinese playing cards back in the 9th century. So that's like 900, AD, which is just wild to me. And I don't know much about them, but China had likely something very much to do with it. Some major advancements came when it actually migrated, the idea of playing cards migrated over to Africa, like to the Middle East and that sort of area, and this was known as the Mameluke deck, and as far as I can research, it was somewhere around like the 11th to 15th century. It was at least by like 1377, because at that point, the conventions of the Mameluke deck were ported over to Europe, where they started making their own variant of it. So something important about the Mameluke deck is it pretty much resembles what we know now, except for the aspect ratio was different and it had no base cards. It had, kings and stuff like that. But because of the religious doctrine at the time, you didn't have pictures of those people on the cards. Instead, it was more representational. And you'll note that we didn't have clubs and diamonds and hearts. That wasn't invented until much later. Instead, if you're into tarot or know anything about tarot, you can probably expect what they were, and those were eventually ported over to Europe as tarot cards, and it was seen as a thing, a problem, and so they were somewhat banned, but in the meantime kept the cups, coins, swords, and clubs, sticks, whatever they are, wands, depending on your reading of it. And eventually it was ported over to Portugal, where they made a different version of it that included 48 cards instead of 52, with 4 suits divided into 12 ranks. Regardless, somewhere in the mid-16th century, the Portuguese deck made it over to Japan because, as far as I've read it, they accidentally ran into Japan and decided to start trading with them, and gave them not only, guns and stuff like that, but also gave them the deck, and the Japanese really took to it. They really liked the idea of the deck, and that was fine up until Japan closed down in the Edo period. Now, what's important about that is that in the Edo period, they were like, everything that comes from elsewhere that's not Japan we're not putting it here, we're not dealing with that, everything's out, no gambling, we don't like gambling, cards and make you gamble, it's not good, get it out. And so there were several attempts to make other types of playing cards that didn't really succeed because of this ban, and because of the ban on not only playing cards essentially, but explicitly gambling using any sort of method like that. And it wasn't until much later that eventually in the Meiji era, I'm mispronouncing all of this, that a guy in 1889 named, and I'm going to butcher this one too, Fusajiro Yamauchi, founded a company called Nintendo to make Hanafuda cards since the ban was over. And that took off because it, you know, was a fun game, and also because the Yakuza really enjoyed it and they were playing it, and instead of, you know, just playing with one deck, they would buy multiple decks and get rid of decks after, I guess, the hand or maybe the game. If they were doing it every hand, that is wild. Go play a game of Hanafuda and just figure out how much money the Yakuza were spending on Hanafuda decks. Just, I guess, to make sure people weren't cheating. It's actually wild. But anyway, Nintendo did all right, and now Nintendo is sort of in the same way that Bicycle is the playing card company. Nintendo is the Hanafuda card maker. You can still buy them. You can get them on Nintendo's website if you like kind of search around. They have special ones for like Pokemon and Mario, but then they have like the classic set, which I own and really enjoy. It's a fun game. Anyway, that might be why I'm not going to be making it exactly like the way that the traditional deck is made. And I may have gotten some of these facts not quite right. I'm not a historian. I'm just a guy who saw a really pretty deck of cards and was like, what's that about? And then half researched it for the sake of a video. As far as I understand, this is accurate though. If you have any corrections or if you want to add anything, let me know. But it's really interesting to see that it took like 2 or 3 different bans in several different countries and like basically the entire world to come up with not only playing cards, which I didn't even get into like the French and what they did to playing cards. Like the French decided to make aces high because of, you know, you probably don't want kings to be the royalty to be the top dog card in a game if you're really not about the monarchy like the French were for a bit there. It was kind of a thing. Just Googled French Revolution. Anyway, it was kind of a deal. It wasn't, I mean, you know, just a little thing. Anyway, let me talk about something that is a big deal. A bigger deal than the French Revolution, I guess. My Patreon supporters. That was smooth. Anyway, if you want to be in the credits and if you want to be thanked, like these wonderful people, you can donate $5 or more, and I'll throw your name up in the credits. And if you just want to throw some money at me and make my day and allow me to buy Hanafuda cards and paint pictures of Hanafuda cards and tell you about Hanafuda cards, I promise I won't be doing that every time. Unless you guys want. I don't know how much more I need to know about Hanafuda cards or how much I could learn. Anyway, let me thank some people on Patreon, starting with Wapfu. Thank you, Wapfu. Thank you, Top Houndour. Thank you, Targo. Thank you, Snoutpunk. Thank you, Orthogonal Caster. Thank you, Mortibus. Thank you, Micah. Thank you, Maliciousness. Thank you, Lost Nevada. Thank you, Kayla Hollinger. Thank you, Josh. Thank you, Gala. Thank you, Dragon. Thank you, Demetrius Gazgalez. Thank you, Chiptune Glitch. Thank you, Bubba Fair. Thank you, Bep. Thank you, Andy. Thank you, Amber. And thank you, Ants! And if you're on there, like, you guys don't have to like send me an apology or whatever if like times get rough for you and you have to like drop like this. Listen, throwing money at my Patreon, it means the world to me. Thank you guys so much. Thank you guys so much for watching. But like, if you're in a situation where like the world's in a rough place right now and you can't throw $5 at me or $1 at me or whatever, that's okay. The world will keep spinning. I'll be okay. You need to take care of yourself because that honestly means more to me than getting $5, you know? So please take care of yourselves, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.